What's up everybody, I'm HoopsandHipHop. So believe it or not, we are nearly to the 2-month mark away from Pokemon Sword and Shield's release, and we don't really know that much about the game when you think about it, which is actually really cool in a lot of ways. If it keeps up this way, it's obviously going to leave a lot for us to discover as fans once we play the game. However, we do know a few things like different characters and a handful of Pokemon as well. However, out of all of the Pokemon that we know about so far from the Galar region, there are only 2 that we don't know anything about besides their name and appearance, and that would of course be the legendary duo Zacian and Zamazenta. These guys are of course the box art legendary duo of the game and are obviously going to play an integral role in the story, hence their appearance on the box art itself. But like I said, we don't know anything about them whatsoever, including the types that they are going to be. These Pokemon definitely aren't the type of Pokemon to give their type away just based on their appearance, and with Solgaleo and Lunala throwing us a curveball with their types in Generation 7 when they were revealed, the types for Zacian and Zamazenta could honestly be anything, and that's exactly what I want to try and figure out in today's video. Using my own personal knowledge and guesstimations and hunches about these 2 Pokemon that I have, I am going to try to predict what the typings of Zacian and Zamazenta will be. Now, this isn't an exact science because obviously we have no inkling, like I said, of what their types are going to be because they have not been announced, and these Pokemon don't really give off a vibe of any one single type, so it's honestly anyone's guess, and that's what's going to make this video so much fun. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and just get into it. Okay, so when I started to kind of narrow down what types I genuinely thought Zacian and Zamazenta were going to be, I thought the easiest way to go about that would be to get rid of the types that they're definitely not going to be in all likelihood. This will help us narrow it down to a smaller pool of types that these Pokemon are more likely to be, while at the same time getting rid of types from consideration that are pretty definitively not going to be the types of Zacian and Zamazenta in one way or another. So with that being said, the types that Zacian and Zamazenta most likely will not be that we are going to exclude from consideration are Bug, Ice, Grass, Poison, Rock, Ground, Water, Ghost, Flying, Electric, Dragon, and Psychic. Now, just based on the nature of these types themselves, I think it's pretty clear as to why Zacian and Zamazenta most likely won't be these types, but for the sake of clarity, I will go ahead and give a brief explanation for each. First off, we've got the Bug and Dragon types, and simply put, these Pokemon are wolves and are neither bugs or dragons, so I think it's pretty easy to exclude these 2. Grass, Poison, and Ice are also out because these are all 3 kind of elemental types, and Zacian and Zamazenta do not reflect Poison, Grass, or Ice elements in any part of their design whatsoever, so I think it's pretty easy to exclude those as well. Oh, and when it comes to Water and Electric, you can pretty much exclude those types as well for the exact same reason. Rock and Ground are also out because whenever a Pokemon is Rock and or Ground type, they tend to have a rocky and or ground-like theme, or at least a coloration in some way, shape, or form, which Zacian and Zamazenta once again do not have any inkling of whatsoever. And that leaves us with 3 more types that we have excluded, and that would be Ghost, Flying, and Psychic. Starting with the Ghost type, while Ghost Pokemon can sometimes be a little more ambiguous as to whether or not they actually are Ghost type based on their appearance, because we have seen Pokemon in the past like Lunala or maybe even Sableye for instance that do look like they have a little bit more of a physical body compared to your standard Ghost type, but at the same time, Ghost types almost always have an air of spookiness about them even if they don't have that ghost-like spirit body, and with Zacian and Zamazenta, they just don't have any of those qualities, so the Ghost type is out. Flying is also another pretty easy one to exclude because even though Zacian kind of has this like wavy type mane fur thing going on, there aren't really any avian traits with these wolf Pokemon whatsoever, and when you have a more mammalian creature like this, in order to make them flying type, you've got to give them like wings or something that's obvious that they're able to fly if they're going to be the flying type, which these Pokemon do not have. And finally, we have the trickiest of the bunch, and that would be the Psychic type. Now, when it comes to the Psychic type, pretty much any legendary Pokemon is capable of being this type because it was indirectly made the legendary type back in Generation 1 when it completely destroyed everything and was completely broken. On top of that, Zacian and Zamazenta, while they don't look like obvious Psychic type Pokemon, they don't necessarily look like the type of Pokemon that wouldn't be Psychic either, and when Solgaleo randomly got the Psychic Steel type in Generation 7, even though everyone in the world thought it was going to be a Fire type, it definitely lends itself to the possibility that they might somehow get the Psychic type, but I don't think that's going to happen for one specific reason. And that specific reason are the Sun and Moon legendaries themselves. In Generation 7, both Solgaleo and Lunala were part Psychic type, and so I just don't think that Game Freak would give us back-to-back generations with Psychic type box art legendary Pokemon. On top of that, Solgaleo and Lunala had a reason in terms of their appearance to have the Psychic type because they were not only from space, but they obviously had a more mystical, just like Psychic type of vibe to them in general, which once again, Zacian and Zamazenta do not have. So even though they don't have anything about their design I would say excludes them 100% definitively, it's for these reasons that I just don't think they're going to get the Psychic type in all likelihood. So now we've gotten down to the final 5 types that I think are most likely for Zacian and Zamazenta to have. Now what I'm going to do here is give you guys 5 different type combinations based on the available types we still have that I personally think Zacian and Zamazenta are most likely to have in no particular order. However, before we go ahead and do that, I'm going to go ahead and go over the individual types themselves. And the 5 types we have left are Normal, Dark, Steel, Fairy, and Fighting. Now while we will go over most of these types in depth once we get into the combinations, there is one type I wanted to go over specifically here before we move on, and that would be the Fighting type. Now, I'm going to go ahead and be honest with you guys, the Fighting type, even though it is one of these 5 types that is remaining, is not a part of any of the combinations I'm going to be talking about here in a second. However, I did not want to completely exclude it from consideration because there was just something in my gut that told me to keep it around. There just wasn't anything I could do to shake the feeling that I had that these Pokemon might throw us a curveball and might randomly be part Fighting type. So, as my wild card selection, Fighting type is just going to kind of stay off to the side here just in case they randomly get announced as Fighting type, but it is not a type that is amongst my most likely type combinations either. With that said though, let's go ahead and get into the type combinations themselves, and the first type combination we've got here would be Normal Steel type for both Zacian and Zamazenta. Now, the interesting thing here is that we have never had a box art legendary duo that has had the exact same type or type combination. However, with Zacian and Zamazenta, they are also the box art legendary duo who are easily the most similar to each other compared to all of the other box art legendary duos, and so if any legendary duo was going to have this happen where they shared a type combo, it would definitely be these two. On top of that, I just think Normal Steel would be a really cool type combo for these guys to have, because not only is it a unique type combo that's never been done before, but it's also a type combo that fits these guys really well, because number one, with them being wolves and being regular mammal-like creatures, that obviously lends itself at least somewhat to the normal type, and obviously the Steel type makes sense because they are the Sword and Shield Pokemon. So overall, I think this type could be just as good as any for these Pokemon, and I would be pretty happy if they actually got it when the games come out. However, with that being said, you could just as easily go with a pure Steel type for both of these Pokemon. Now, with a mono type, it's obviously not as exciting as a dual type, but once again, with these Pokemon literally being the Sword and Shield Pokemon, however, we don't quite know if that's their species name yet, because once again, we don't know anything, but obviously with them representing swords and shields, it obviously makes Steel the most likely type out of any other type that is out there, so I wouldn't be surprised either if these guys ended up just being pure Steel type. Now for my third combination, and before I get into it, I just want to say I just realized I only have 4 combinations here as opposed to 5, but these next 2 are different combinations for each Pokemon as opposed to the same, so it's technically 5, so please don't get mad. But with that being said, the type combos here are Fairy Steel for Zacian and Dark Steel for Zamazenta. Once again, the Steel type is here because it's the most likely choice and is kind of a given in this situation for these Pokemon. However, when it comes to the Fairy and Steel type, I think these types could actually work really well for these Pokemon too. Number 1, when it comes to Zamazenta, his coloration is definitely a little bit darker, so I could very easily see him being part dark type. And when it comes to Zacian, Zacian is definitely, for the lack of a better term, the frillier of the two, quote unquote, so I definitely could see Fairy working here as well, and I also could just see Fairy and Dark for the legendaries of the Galar region because those two types seem like they would be two types that would represent Galar well. And in general, the Fairy Steel and Dark Steel typings are just both so cool, and I think it would be a great way to bind these Pokemon together while at the same time differentiating them and giving them an amazing type combination of their own, all at the same time. And for our last type combination that I'm going to be going over here, it simply just drops the Steel type from the last one and has Zacian being a pure Fairy type with Zamazenta being a pure Dark type. I wanted to at least consider the possibility that these two Pokemon might not be Steel type in some way, shape, or form, because obviously, once again, with Solgaleo not being Fire type in Gen 7, we definitely have to consider this possibility. And I think when it comes to these Pokemon that Pure Fairy and Pure Dark could actually work very well, because as I said, the Fairy and Dark types for Zacian and Zamazenta respectively fit their designs well enough that I do believe they could work. But when it comes to them having the Pure Fairy and the Pure Dark type, it also works somewhat well as well because Fairy is super effective against Dark. So that can kind of emphasize the counterpart mentality that these box art legendaries have. And once again, I do think these two types would do a good job of just representing the Galar region in general, so I do think they would be a good fit for these two Pokemon, and even though personally I would rather have the Fairy Steel Dark Steel or the normal Steel type, like I said, we've gotta at least consider that these Pokemon won't be Steel type because we know that it's Game Freak and literally anything could happen. And there we have it, everybody. Those are my predictions as to what I think the typings of Zacian and Zamazenta will be, and my most likely and most wanted picks would have to be the normal Steel, Dark Steel, or Fairy Steel, or any combination of those three. However, with that being said, I really like the fact that Game Freak is being a little more limited with their information release about this game compared to, say, Sun and Moon, so I honestly hope that we do not learn the types of these Pokemon until the games come out, because then you can have the thrill of catching the Pokemon and finally getting to learn what its type is after basically playing through the whole game. That would just be a great thrill to have, so I hope the mystery stays around for just a little bit longer. If you guys enjoyed the video though, be sure to give it a like and let me know down in the comments below what types you think Zacian and Zamazenta are going to be and what you think of my personal picks. Also, be sure to subscribe if you're new for more Pokemon content all the time, including plenty more Sword and Shield content to come. Also, if you'd like to support the channel further, check me out on Spotify. Give my Pokemon remixes a listen there. That would be greatly appreciated. It is directly supporting videos like this. And with all that being said, I'm going to be back on Thursday with another video as well. So be sure to hit that notification bell so you can be notified as soon as it goes live. And with all that being said, I hope you know I love you guys. I hope you have a great Tuesday or whatever day it is that you're watching this. And until the next one, as always, I'll smell you guys later.